Something very strange is happening around the world. Governments and militaries have actively been shooting at UFOs and orbs. We'll look at videos of these attacks, instances where the orbs fight back, other strange phenomena surrounding these orbs, like them morphing into different objects, and the spiritual connection to the war in the heavens that we may be witnessing more and more of. It's actually insane how many videos there are of this going on. I've searched far and wide to find every video I could on this, so let's get right into it. Back in 2025, air defenses in China allegedly shot down a meteor over the Shandong province. I don't know about you, but to me this doesn't look like a meteor was shot down. It looks more like a meteor hit some sort of thing that was already flying in the sky. I'm sure if that's the case, China wouldn't come out and say that because they don't like to have any sort of negative press. This video was posted on X back in 2024. It just says from a war-stricken area. We don't know exactly what this clip is from or what conflict it's from, but as you can see, these orbs in the sky are floating around, and it looks like they shot almost like a heat-seeking missile after this thing, and it was trying to track it around the sky, and the fact that it couldn't spin around and turn and hit it, looks like two of them tried and then they just missed the object. Maybe one hit and the other one just completely missed and ended up flying into the ground. So as we see, this orb here has the capability to dodge modern warfare. This next video came out during that whole New Jersey drone incident, and we'll actually do a deeper dive in a section of this video a little later into that whole thing, because a lot of these videos that did come out of orbs fighting back or orbs being shot at did happen during that whole New Jersey drone incident. But this one was absolutely crazy, and this is actually when I started to save some of these videos because I thought it was absolutely insane that different military forces were actually shooting missiles at these random unidentified flying objects. It's not just the United States who's firing at these things in the sky. Italy has actually come out and said they've been using secret electromagnetic military weapons on these orbs.
They were very pointed and matter of fact that these things had been kind of plaguing them for some time. One individual in particular provided some very, very detailed information to include some analysis on frequency. I hate to say it, but they may have more information than we do even in the US potentially.
This is becoming widely known and talked about within all of the UFO circles that the militaries around the world are actually attacking these things in the sky. Is this a war in the heavens, or maybe the fearful sights that Jesus warned us about that would be happening in the heavenly realms? Well, we'll do our best to discern all this, and I pray that Jesus will lead us all into the truth of exactly what's happening here. Again, it's not just the United States, it's not just Italy. Here we see Iran launching attacks against a UAP. These are the orbs that are just flying in the sky. We say UFO, we say UAP, and I don't mean nuts and bolts craft from other planets. That's why I say most of the time it's an orb manifestation. These things are evil, and we'll see more of a connection to that later in this video also. Ross Coulthart has been doing a lot of interviews and research into this subject, and he's also been talking about the whispers and the hearings and the evidence that we're actually actively attacking these orbs in the sky.
Now again, this is what I find is a real worry is I'm increasingly led to the view by sources that the United States has been involved in targeted kinetic engagements with UAPs using EMP weaponry to try and bring them down. And they've done so successfully. So that's an offensive act against a non-human intelligence. If that's true, and I'm not saying it is true, it's just something I've been told that I'm still in the process of trying to verify with other sources. If that's true, the implications of that are that one country in the world has taken offensive action against a non-human intelligence, which is perhaps of a vastly superior advanced technology. What are the implications for that for the entire human race? And what right do they have to do that, if true?
I found this post on X, couldn't find much more on it on the internet of declassified documents that say this, but if this is true, it's interesting. When our gunners hit 4 balls of fire, the balls of fire were reported as follows: as disintegrating, as floating to the earth in controlled spin, and flaring up in explosions. Whether that's real or not, it's undeniable at this point that we're definitely firing at these manifestations that are breaking into our reality from whatever reality or whatever spiritual realm they are in. And this isn't just a new phenomenon either. Back in 1942, the Battle of Los Angeles, 1,400 anti-aircraft shells were fired over Los Angeles at something that had triggered the radar and was flying in the sky. Searchlights tracked a large, slow-moving object. In 1948, the Mantell UFO incident, Captain Thomas Mantell chased a large metallic object over Kentucky. 1952, Washington, D.C. UFO incidents, UFOs reportedly appeared on the radar over the White House and the Capitol. Visual confirmations by pilots and air traffic controllers. Fighter jets were scrambled from Andrews Air Force Base. They attempted interception. The objects outmaneuvered the jets. And there's been other reports through the years: an Iranian F-4 UFO incident in 1976, Russian nuclear base incident in 1982, and now we're hearing more of the declassified incidents from the military in recent times, like the USS Nimitz encounters in 2004. Probably the most recent declassified video from the military that we have on this was the United States shooting an extremely advanced Hellfire missile at an orb over the ocean, and it was practically unaffected. Not only that, but it looks like it disables the missile. It doesn't even explode and just falls off to the side into the ocean while the orb continues on.
Does this video scare you guys? Yes or no?
Yes.
Wiggins?
Yes.
Yes.
The newly released video captured by a U.S. Reaper drone shows a glowing orb off the coast of Yemen. Suddenly, on the left side of your screen, you see a Hellfire missile zip in, strike that unidentified object, then bounce right off it.
There are a lot of things happening in the spiritual realm around us. The Holy Spirit protects us from these and protects and restrains, but sometimes these things do break into our reality. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. These types of things manifest themselves way more when people give them the opportunity through opening the wrong spiritual doors. When this happens, a bridge has been connected, access has been granted. As this increases, the phenomenons increase too. Now, the war that we're seeing break out more in our own reality is not just happening in the spiritual realm anymore. We will see an increase of supernatural phenomena as we head into the future, which is really what is happening in all of these instances when we're actually dealing with someone encountering an orb, a real UFO, not a drone or some physical craft created by a military or something like that. When it's an orb or whatever these things are that are manifesting in the sky, it's a supernatural evil phenomenon connected back to Ephesians 6:12. Just like the guy here shines his laser at one, and then you see a mass amount of them appearing. This may be some deceptive tactic that they use after he shows, hey, yeah, I see you're there. And they say, okay, yep, we're here too. Satan prowls around like a roaring lion looking for people to devour who are willing to open that doorway to his realm. This video here shows a meteor over Mexico City that was clearly diverted. It looks like an orb shows up above it too. Official reports say nothing strange happened here and that it just burned up regularly like a normal meteor. Something's not adding up. Something also isn't adding up with the CIA's response to 3i Atlas. John Greenwald Jr. on X has filed for Freedom of Information Acts to the CIA in regards to anything involving 3i Atlas, and they sent back a response saying, we completed a thorough review of our request and determined that in accordance with Section 3.6a of Executive Order 13526, the CIA can neither confirm nor deny the existence or non-existence of records responsive to your request. Isn't it amazing that Jesus prophesied that there would be fearful sights in the heavens towards the last days, and that people would be looking up to the sky and there would be signs in the sun, moon, and the stars? Hard to deny with everything going on, and we're not moving in a direction of people looking up to the heavens in some sort of fearful expectation.
Over active war zones right now, there is such an increased frequency of what they call UAP or UFO that they have these rules whether or not they fire upon them. And people got so mad at me for saying publicly on the news that we do fire at UFOs, because we do. But why we do is not what people think. So when you have an active war zone, specifically the area of the world that I'm talking about in the Middle East, anything within 27 to 30 miles of ground troops gets fired upon. That's it. But I was exposed to documents that tell me a little bit more precisely how you choose what to fire upon. And what you fire upon is anything that appears that it could have a payload.
Really?
Yeah, because it would be a threat. What do they do with like the cubes surrounded by these spheres? Nothing, because they don't look like they have a payload. So they disregard, they're not part of the mission. So my point in saying that kind of on the news, I don't need to prove to anybody it's true. It is true. I speak with people that are there right now. It is true. And there's been such an increased frequency since 2021 that it has been pushed up to kind of like critical, where they're like, okay, these things are in our airspace, we could have collisions, but more importantly, like, we see other countries firing on these. Russia, Syria, we know it's not their assets. So the question is, whose are these?
2 years after that interview, we get this. One of the best, and I think the first video really documenting a military strike on UFOs. This was from 2011, location Afghanistan, over a military base or near a military base, in which it's clear to see there are 4 orbs. They're dripping something from them. They are not flares. And we can actually see that the military decided to fire a missile at this thing. One way we can also know it is not a flare, because as the missile hits this object, it remains ineffective. It explodes for a moment and then regains its shape. And isn't it weird that these things are just dripping something? What are they dripping? Is this them tearing into our reality? Bits of their pieces coming in and out? Hard to know what to make of it, but the whole nuts and bolts thing evolved on another planet craft here, being hit by a missile and unaffected, not making sense. Spiritual manifestation in our reality coming in and out makes a lot more sense that could be hit by a missile and unaffected. The Bible is very clear that there are spiritual phenomena happening all around us, a spiritual war that we can't even see. In 2 Kings 6:17, it says, "And Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I pray, open his eyes that he may see. Then the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw. And behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. Elisha's eyes were closed, but then once opened, he saw that these things were all around." Maybe as we head into the future and again closer to the fulfillment of the fearful sights in the heavens, signs in the sun, moon, and stars, our eyes are being more open to these things that have been here all around us and are connected to Ephesians 6:12, evil spiritual powers that Jesus will come one day and ultimately crush. This next video is from a UFO researcher named Tony Dodd, who was a police officer who had a UFO encounter. This led him to do a lot of research in which he heard and found out about an alleged UFO war near the Arctic Circle. I'll play some other videos of the UFO wars that have been going on recently while he gives his testimony on this.
Now, after that, I'll go on to the part that got me in the next lot of trouble. I was in Las Vegas 6 months ago, lecturing at a very big international conference there, and the subject of my lecture was information I was releasing about a confrontation between UFOs and our warships up in the Arctic Ocean. Now, I've got some very, very good contacts, and as Graham said, of course, these can't be named for obvious reasons, but I had contacts who were informing me that there was very large underwater craft had been operating up from the Arctic Circle on the coast of Iceland, down past Norway, down to the coast of England, and that several warships had been sent to the area, including NATO warships, American warships, and also submarines. I was also told that what had happened was radar, the advanced warning radar, had picked up objects coming down and actually landing in the sea, up off the Arctic Circle once again. Now then, the next thing that happened, these things were seen to come down and enter the sea. The next thing that happened, the Icelandic fishermen, obviously Iceland, the whole of its economy is based on its fishing industry, and so they've got many fishing boats. reported seeing these huge underwater objects moving at fast speeds close to their boats, and in fact certain instances these things actually tangled with the nets of the fishing boats and tore them to shreds. There was a confrontation of some sort going on up there between our warships and whatever it was under the water. And this is what I was lecturing about in Las Vegas. And when I got down from my lecture, I was pulled to one side by certain people. And Wendell, who spoke previously, knows all about this because he was at the same conference. And I was warned in no uncertain terms that if I carried on the way I was going to be killed. Excuse me. They also got my wife and threatened my wife. And they said I was a very dangerous person. I was releasing top secret information which wasn't for the public knowledge. And they would stop me, mate. They said, I was told, make no mistake, they were going to stop me. They said it wasn't a case of don't do it again, it was a case you've gone too far already, so you're a marked man. That's what they said.
Now it's time to look at the New Jersey drone incidents, which we really got a deep insight into this whole orb war phenomenon that's going on during this whole event that we still really have no answers to.
So we got this crazy video. This was recorded at Hamilton Lake in New Jersey last night. So watch, you can see orbs. Well, you can see two orbs. One of them is ejecting other orbs. It seems to be shooting orbs down towards the ground. But watch this. It is shot down and explodes. I don't know what shoots it down. But this is wild. I mean, I really don't know what's going on here. Every video seems to be getting crazier. Watch. Boom. It's hanging there. Here, I'm going to play it in slow-mo. You can see it explode. There's still the other orb hovering above it. And honestly, I don't know what to think about this. Like I said, Hamilton, New Jersey, filmed last night. I had to brighten it up. The original video was extremely dark. You could barely tell what was going on. But yeah, I don't know what it's ejecting. Don't know what blew it up, but they're not talking about it.
Isn't it insane how many videos came from this incident where we see the difference between the orbs flying around and the drones flying around, and for some reason they were both interacting with each other. Like in this video here, where we can clearly see there's an orb and then a drone is chasing it away or following it off to wherever it's going. This video is one of the craziest. It was recorded in Arizona, but it was during the whole New Jersey drone timeline when a lot more people were looking up into the sky. We can see the clear difference between the orb and the drone. The drones are almost always blinking, and when they are, they normally have the colors red and green on them. I believe that's guidelines that they have to follow. And we can see that this drone is definitely interested in the orb. Maybe that's why all of the drones were there. Maybe there was a mass manifestation of these things, so we sent a bunch of drones to try to figure out what they were. We don't really know, but just look at what happens when this drone touches this orb.
He's like right there with it. Go, oh, he's like right on it. Ooh, that whatever it was just shut down the drone, if that was a drone.
This appears to be what happens when you introduce a physical drone made of material objects to a spiritual evil orb manifestation that is a spiritual host of wickedness in the heavenly places. The two don't mix very well. Maybe this is why some of the drone footage that was coming out shows them taking a much more aggressive approach. And especially with a lot of the videos that we've seen up to this point, they've definitely been taking a much more aggressive approach recently, even obviously the military getting pretty heavily involved. This next part gets pretty strange. Turns out maybe some of these drones aren't even drones at all. They're actually orbs that have manifested and transformed into what appears to be a drone. Multiple videos have come out showing this exact thing happening.
I've recently been watching and spent some time with the videographer out of Long Island. I mean, he has orbs, these glowing orbs of light on camera that as you watch them right before your eyes, they seem to transform into a mechanical drone. So I've actually watched it myself, where these orbs are glowing balls of light, different blinking lights all over the place. And as it gets closer to you, you actually see it transform into a drone. Whether it's a drone from the beginning and it's being obstructed by bright light, I can't tell you, but it is cause for concern. We have looked at flight tracker data. We don't see any airplanes in the skies. These things are absolutely some kind of phenomenon that's happening just over our homes. We need answers, and we need them quickly.
It's doing it again. It's doing it again. It's changing right now. It's changing right now. I can see it's moving. It's doing it again. Got it. It's flying. Look, it's moving now. Look. It's moving. It was not moving for 10 minutes. You can see it moving in relation to that other stream right there. See it flying. It's in motion. That one's still over there. That one's flying away now, even though it's been in the same spot.
I fully believe this orb, UFO, UAP, and alien phenomenon is evil. I pray to Jesus for his protection for us all from these things. Surrender everything to him, and he will guide you and protect you. We'll see more about what the Bible has to say about all of that in just a moment, but first let's look and remember for the potential in all of this for there to be psyops. Of course, we have Project Bluebeam with the potential of a fake alien invasion, or even maybe to cover up the rapture of the church with Bluebeam technology, simulating a mass alien abduction to try to explain away where all the people went. Wernher von Braun, also named as the father of space travel or the father of rocket science, heavily involved in the United States rocket program. One of his quotes says, and remember, Carl, the last card is the alien card. We're going to have to build space-based weapons against aliens, and all of it is a lie. A lie. Jeremy Corbell has been giving his own warnings about this too.
So I'm worried that what is going on right now is that we are being influenced through a campaign to be acclimated to an idea that may be true, but we're giving events that are not true in order to influence that idea. I don't know if I'm being clear. I am concerned right now that there are fake psyops, that there are things being done by the United States government to put fear and confusion into the American and global public about UAP for an agenda. So are you concerned at all that unprecedented events like this, that make zero sense, that they just think we're idiots, and that all of a sudden they're trying to create this fear of these unidentified unknowns, unknown origin, when it's so easy to track? George and I directly know and have been exposed to footage of high capability of looking at these types of things. That is fact. So, like, are you concerned at all that this is a charade?
The psyop potential is real, and we should always consider what could be the motives for them trying to put out whatever information they're putting out. But what's really going on, and the main driving force behind this whole phenomenon, is a massive spiritual deception. There are so many different people now who are actually summoning UFOs, something that wasn't even done in the past. We really didn't even have many great UFO footages. Now we get it all the time. And what do we see with all of these people? They're all involved with New Age spiritual practices to cause and summon these orbs to appear around them. All I did was take Bledsoe's experience as truth, combined his and Greer methods, and they came. Chris Bledsoe and Stephen Greer both use New Age spirituality, chakras, praying to them, looking up to the heavens, asking them to manifest. This is really just divination is what it is. It's inviting these things, opening the door. It is a bad, bad thing to do. And that's why these orbs, these UFOs, these UAPs, whatever you want to call them, are showing up around these people who are heavily now involved with New Age spiritual practices. And that's sadly what we're seeing with a lot of people online now who have been practicing this thing. They're showing this same orb, same spot every single night. That's the same thing that happened to me in the past. It would be the same orbs in the same spot of the sky, same time, normally around 3 o'clock in the morning, no coincidence. And of course, what was I doing too? Living in sin, living for the world, had open doors to wrong spiritual stuff, was practicing occult practices. And so yeah, these things showed up and were leading me astray. I gave my life to Jesus Christ, and the orbs left. I pray for anyone out there who's experiencing anything like this to give their life to Jesus Christ, fully surrender everything to Him, close every spiritual door, break every spiritual tie to the New Age or any occult or any other religion besides following the Bible. Renounce these things, get rid of them, devote your time and your mind to reading the Bible, to prayer and worship, and yes, you will see these orbs and all other evil spiritual forces also will leave you alone. When you call on the Lord Jesus to fight your battles, guess what? He is above them all, and He will win every single time. I'm not sure who this next guy is. Feel free to leave it in the comments if you do know, but his description of what these entities are is exactly what everyone else who's encountered them says. They're malevolent, nefarious, corrupt, and for the ones who think they aren't, guess what? Yes, they are also deceptive, which is synonymously how the Bible describes the evil fallen powers that are at work in the world.
Now, he also said that he witnessed all kinds of things in and around the craft. He said that he actually witnessed an ET on more than one occasion, and he said it's nothing like you would see in films with big eyes and smiley faces. And I said, well, what did this being look like? And he said it looked like a devil. He was saying, oh, films are all good enough about UFOs and ETs and all of this. He said, but when you get involved in it for in reality, it's a completely different thing. And the other thing he said was, he says this statement that aliens are friendly, that he's obviously heard through watching media and whatnot, he says he was no way. And I said to him, well, how long do you think this sort of activity is being going on for? And without flinching, he said, since before we were here.
As Christians, we can never forget Ephesians 6:12 and its description of what these evil forces are that we're wrestling against. This is the best biblical description to describe this evil phenomenon and every other evil supernatural phenomenon that we are wrestling against. These two verses I find interesting too to be added to this conversation about the war that is breaking out in the heavenly realms. And war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought with the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought, but they did not prevail, nor was a place found for them in heaven any longer. So the great dragon was cast out, the serpent of old, called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was cast to the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. And behold, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, for I had been left alone there with the kings of Persia. The Revelation verse is a clear demonstration of war in the heavenly realms. Maybe these types of battles are still going on and we are unaware. And this other reference here in Daniel interprets the prince who is of the kingdom of Persia that withstood him for 21 days to be some sort of fallen angel or evil entity that was withstanding him within the spiritual realm. Michael the archangel had to step in and fight it off. There's definitely a war raging in multiple realms, but Jesus Christ has authority over them all. He has authority over the spiritual realm, over the natural realm, over the human realm, and over the cosmic realm. Then they were all amazed, so that they questioned among themselves, saying, what is this? What new doctrine is this? For with authority he commands even the unclean spirits, and they obey him. Therefore God also has highly exalted him and given him the name which is above every name. And having disarmed the powers and authorities, he made a public spectacle of them, triumphing over them by the cross. The supernatural realm is real, and as we head into the future, supernatural manifestations, supernatural deceptions are going to be greater and greater, which is why you should really give your life to Jesus Christ if you haven't yet. He's the only one who can defeat these evil forces at work in the world. He's the only one with all the answers to anything, any hurt in your life, any question. Jesus is the answer to everything. I hope and I pray you will give your life to Jesus Christ if you haven't today. Pray to him, ask him to reveal himself to you, read the Bible, sing songs to him, worship him. He will reveal himself to you. You will be saved and you will be led into the truth in this life and the life to come. And you will see the one who's going to come back, Jesus Christ, and defeat all of these evils because he and he alone has all the power. And Jesus came and spoke to them saying, All authority has been given to me in heaven and on earth.